Attack of the Clones, where Hayden Christensen got so much shit for his lines. I've said this before, that movie made Natalie Portman look bang average.
He's got a bit of burn mark on here. Oh, poor baby. He's in fire.
I know exactly what the Empire can do. I'll help you.
Yeah.
Welcome,
Do you
one
know,
and
actually,
some, to the
do you
Earth
know
Sandwich
what?
Blood.
Before you intro it, something I think
Yeah.
we need to inject more energy into the intros.
Okay,
Alright,
alright.
hit us with the most energetic intro you can do.
Welcome to the Earth Sandwich Podcast. I'm Andy.
Fuck you. No. Do
No.
it again.
Welcome to
No, energy.
the Earth Sandwich.
Not this.
That was energy.
That wasn't energy.
Welcome to the Earth Sandwich Podcast. I'm your host, Andy. And James and Charlie are also
you're so
hosts.
stagnant.
What?
There's no dynamic nature to it.
I'm
Gotta
sitting
be-
on the floor, James. There's not much. I can't really. There's not much movement
Yeah, I'm not
I
saying
can
fucking do
inject.
step overs while you're doing it, but like,
Hello, welcome to.
come on.
Welcome to the podcast. Hello, and welcome to the Earth Sandwich Podcast. I'm
You're
your.
just doing
This
it in
one's
the
fine.
same way every single time.
Your look is just going, hello, and
Yeah,
welcome
you're
to
literally just saying hello every single time, but progressively
Okay,
getting
let me
a little
try
bit
again.
louder. You got to
me
get it
try
snappy,
again.
like. Welcome back to
Hi,
the Earth Sandwich
welcome
Podcast.
to the Earth Sandwich
like,
Podcast.
Speed, energy.
Okay.
Do you know,
Hi,
what I
welcome
think
back
it
to the
is?
Earth.
Do you know what I think it is, James? I think it's his shoulders don't move. That's the thing.
Yeah, and
Right?
it's,
That's why there's no energy, because you're literally
Hi.
just like, yeah, there's none
Hi.
of this sort of stuff. No
I am
dynamic,
a
it's
jit
just
pie.
hello.
Hi, welcome to the Earth Sandwich Podcast.
Nice.
I'm Andy, joined by James and Charlie. How are we doing today, men?
Fucking beautiful after that, mate. That's
There we go.
amazing.
Welcome to the episode.
Game's not been a minute.
He's
Can't
having a
believe
little
that.
moment. There's
that
a
one's
few things I
staying
want
as
to
the
talk
intro.
about.
Yeah,
I love
this,
that.
This whole sequence is staying.
I think we keep everything, baby. How are we all doing, ladies?
Very well, mate.
Long time no chat.
Oh, mate, I
Wink.
could watch you try an intro for hours. Son. I really could. It's so
I'm
fun.
just naturally charismatic. I can't help it. I've
just
got a
so-
sort of
it's-
je ne sais quoi about
It's
me.
like watching like the wooden board from Ed, Ed and Eddie trying to intro a podcast.
I was that was a main character of a
It's literally
staple
like-
child's TV show.
You know, like SpongeBob when he's like, "Take it away, Penny." That's what it feels like.
Yeah.
Literally just
Yeah.
stagnant. Like, you know those blokes
Yeah.
that work out their shoulders so much they have like no movement other than just this.
Oh, when their head they move like Lego characters.
Can't fit
Oh,
through
yeah,
doorways.
They can't.
Yeah.
Oh, brilliant.
But anyway, welcome to the podcast. Anything we want to? I'd like to chat a bit about, as I don't know when this episode will come out, but I'd like
Yeah.
to talk about Obi Wan Kenobi, if that's possible.
Okay, let's do it.
Spoilers
I feel it's something-
ahead.
Way
Spoilers ahead,
for
although
spoilers.
4 episodes though.
Yeah, because the 5th one's out tomorrow.
I think so, yeah.
bear in mind, by the
Tomorrow?
time this is released, the Kenobi series will probably have definitely been already released in its
So that means we
Yeah.
can make predictions as to what's going
Predictions,
to
yeah,
happen.
very
and we
true.
can see how right and wrong we are.
Very exciting.
Yeah, yeah.
So,
How-
first 4 episodes.
Yeah, I was going to say, initially, if we had to describe the season so far in 3 words,
Ooh.
how would we
think-
describe? I can think of 2
No.
already, so I've got disappointing, annoying,
Yeah.
and
No positive ones?
no. Unfortunately not.
No,
Oh,
not at all.
actually, if I can, I would put disappointing and then good design.
Okay.
2 words that.
Disappointing and good design.
I would say 3 words in a sequence. Not about Kenobi.
Yeah.
Very good, very nice.
To be fair, that's better than what I was going to come up
That's
with.
just what I feel.
Yeah,
It doesn't.
It's probably the
It,
biggest.
his name's on the thing, but it doesn't feel like it's about Kenobi. To be honest,
That's
it
a
really
good
doesn't.
point.
It's about
Andy?
Leia and it's about Reva.
Mine would just be expectations above reality. Like, it wasn't...
Yeah.
I was so hyped for this more than I was for Book of Boba Fett, more than I was for Season 2 of The Mandalorian.
Should we break it down episode by episode? Because I don't think it should all be doom and gloom, because there are some parts of it I liked a lot.
Absolutely. I think the first episode was really good.
I did, yeah. I thought so. I mean, some people were just like, I did see some things that were like, oh, in the what is it, the Revenge of the Sith? That's the third one, isn't it? That's episode 3.
Yeah, episode 3.
Oh god, I can't remember. Fake fan.
Yeah.
But apparently at the end of that, like, Yoda said he had loads of training for Obi-Wan, and there was this whole hopeful thing and stuff like that. So it doesn't really follow that canon and stuff. But to be honest, fuck all that. I liked seeing a bloke who was gutted.
Broken.
Just totally broken by what happened, because there's no reason why he shouldn't be.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
And I quite liked how, he was just like doing this shitty job just out in the middle of Tatooine, just doing some random crap. And
Spying
I thought
on
that
a
was Yeah, exactly. Just looking after Luke. I thought that was cool, and that
safeguarding issues there from Owen. He kind of needs to step that up.
Yeah.
But aside from that,
But Owen's interactions with him made sense as well, because from Owen's perspective, his family member basically got kidnapped by cultists and then died.
Yeah.
So like
because of this guy.
Exactly. So because he's one of the guys who initially kidnapped him. So it's like, from his perspective, I totally get him being angry, and I quite liked the character interactions there. So the first episode, on the whole, I mean, the Inquisitors were introduced and stuff like that.
Yeah.
First episode, I actually quite enjoyed. I quite liked how it set the scene.
It gave us what I
thought. That Jedi.
Yeah,
that made sense.
It gave us what I thought the season was going to be, which was exploring the psyche and the mentality of what watching all your friends, all your loved ones die does to someone.
Yeah.
And that was initially what I thought. Okay, this could be like really cool. This could be watching this broken, beaten old. Not old, but like a growing older man, and now he's one on his own. That does enough to someone. He's, as you say, he's got these teachings from like Yoda and stuff, which it wasn't teachings in terms of like fighting or the Force. It was teachings in terms of connecting with Qui-Gon, because those teachings are how you become a Force ghost. Yeah. So because Qui-Gon figured out how to do it, and Yoda eventually did, and so did Ben, it's those teachings that's what they're trying to figure out. I was really excited to see, almost have like a really emotional series of like, fuck, he is just broken. Like, this is not like this isn't a Jedi anymore. This is just...
And you see that like with him like struggling to even like use the Force. Yeah. At least in the first few episodes.
Which I thought was kind of cool, because it's like the whole thing with the Jedi is that they're supposed to have been flawed, I guess, which is how like Anakin was allowed to come into being in the first place, right?
Yeah.
Which is that they were not really like I think the whole thing with like the Duel of the Fates in the Phantom Menace was that the Jedi lost it because Qui-Gon needed to be there to give his own brand of teaching to Anakin, because he died. The way the Jedi set up, that's what led to Anakin turning to the dark side and stuff. So I think it's quite good that Obi-Wan would almost turn his back on that sort of stuff, like on being a Jedi and things like that. It would make sense.
Yeah. And the interactions he had with the other Jedi were really good. The fact that other kid like turned up and he was like, "It's gone, it's dead, move on." Yeah,
we've lost. Just hide.
Yeah, they're gonna kill you. Hide, run away.
Yeah.
Like, that was really good.
But I think what we kind of touched on already is the fact that even at 4 episodes in, I don't know how many they're supposed to be in total. Is it 6?
It's only 6.
Yeah.
So that's another thing, because at 4 episodes in, it doesn't really feel like I can't already see.
All has happened.
We're at the end of the second act. Ideally now, if we're 2/3 of the way through, and I don't really know how it's gonna pan out, and it's not really about, as we've mentioned, it's not really about Obi Wan Kenobi or about the Jedi. It's about Leia
and
so
Reva.
far, and
I think Reva mainly as well.
Yeah,
it's about those two, which is like I kind of get why, but it's also like the show is like the fans, or at least for me, I want it because it's a story about Obi Wan Kenobi.
Yes,
but it's not. It's
and
not
I think
really. He's just kind of the vessel for this.
Yeah, they've hidden a lot of things, like it's him rediscovering the Force in that moment now, episode 2, where Leia like falls off the building.
Yes.
And he like discovers the Force. They miss the mark so slightly with things, wherein that they could have had a really cool moment where, so like with Obi Wan, he like does this with the Force, like he uses his 2 fingers and his thumb. He doesn't use like his whole hand like other Jedis do. So it would have been really cool with when she was falling off the building if it like wasn't quite working when he was using his whole hand, and then he kind of went to this and it worked. And that's like a cool character moment where it's like he's like devolving back almost, but they just miss the mark where they just go, oh, and he's just saved her.
He grabs.
And it's just like, oh,
I think
cool. We all knew that.
One thing that's really, one thing that's bored my piss the most of everything so far is something that James, you've already mentioned in our group chat that we have, is he famously doesn't like blasters.
Yeah,
he is like that is a whole
scene. It's not something I knew.
Did you not?
I
uncivilized.
The Clone Wars series. I've never watched the Clone Wars series.
No, it's not in that. It's not in the Clone Wars series.
But it's also,
it wasn't originally from it. No.
He actively never uses blasters, and then in the scene with Grievous, when he shoots Grievous, he just chucks it to the side and goes, "So uncivilized." And then as soon as he gets his hand on a lightsaber again, and then as soon as he has the lightsaber and he's confident using it in like the 4th episode, the second that a sword is useful, e.g. close combat, he abandons it and uses a gun again. It's like, come on, just.
I mean that,
and
I think
like, you've got a chance for a really cool fight scene, and you just ditch it.
This is where you could argue a bit difficult though, because partially it's like I feel like a lot of what they've done is a lot of the fans are annoyed with how Kenobi acts for reasons like that, right? They don't feel it works with Kenobi's character and stuff, and I feel like what it is because they don't have. I almost feel like they don't have enough episodes, and what they're trying to do is expand on 3 characters' stories when the advertising and the entire premise of the plot was shown to be just one.
Yeah.
So Reva, I feel like, has been thrown under the bus because I think the actress I think is pretty good, because Reva is a very I think so. For me, Reva is an extremely
I'm enjoying the character.
Extremely cold, uncaring person, it seems like, and there's a character arc to explore there. But
I think the character's cool.
When that's not what you're looking for, which isn't what people were looking for when they went into Kenobi, it's like
I think it's to be about Kenobi.
Yeah, exactly. So what's ending up happening is we're getting a little bit of partial Reva backstory. We're getting some extra stuff about Leia, who turns out is incredible at tag.
Phenomenal.
And what it ends up being is you get 3 characters' stories being not fully developed, and by the end they're going to go like something like, "Oh, Reva was one of the Jedi children in that scene at the start," and everyone's going to go, "I don't really care."
Yeah, it's just don't give a fuck.
I'm not here for this. It's like you need to build up these characters properly when they're thrown in, because Star Wars has got a massive universe and it's got a lot of fans who get very tetchy about shit.
Oh yeah.
And that's why I feel like Reva's actress has been thrown under the bus.
Yeah.
Because
the reason
you've taken a lot of fans, promised them Kenobi, and given them a totally different character and said, "How do you like them?" And we're like, "This isn't what we wanted."
Yeah.
So
the reason I'll disagree with you on the front of Reva is the character in itself is what should have been the Grand Inquisitor.
Okay.
Everything they're doing with Reva, they've already established the Grand Inquisitor is in other series, and so then having her just seemingly kill him and break canon.
Well, he's not going to be dead though.
He's alive.
He's not going to be
dead. Because otherwise they've just broken canon. But
also,
they could have done everything they did with her
him
with the Grand Inquisitor, and they set it up in the first episode of him being this really intimidating guy who's really like, he essentially owns the universe and goes around just fucking people up for the Sith and stuff. And the problem I have with Reva is the actress, I feel, is she looks too nice. Like, she just looks really. I'd love to sit down with like Reva and have a conversation. She looks just really pleasant and just really kind of soft and calm, whereas then when she starts being all intimidating, I'm like, I just don't believe it. you look really nice.
I think also,
Like,
I
you
don't
just
know
look
if
like a
this is
lovely
reading
person.
too much into it,
Like,
but it feels like the character is someone that is like clearly wasn't evil, and now is like trying to overcompensate for not being evil,
Yeah.
and will eventually go through the arc of like, you know what, I'm actually not that evil. Like, that's what I feel this is going like.
and giving
Like,
potentially like
yeah.
Reva like possibly the second biggest reveal, or maybe third in the entire Star Wars canon, that Anakin's not dead, and revealing it to essentially like his brother, his dad, like, and just doing it really quickly, really just like, you know, don't you? He's alive, and that's it. And it's just like, and then there's this good scene of Obi-Wan afterwards, like seeing him. But then that initial scene was like, that felt really forced. It was just like, and there you go, and it's done. It's like,
what? And they've met. Yeah, that was another thing about that's the actual when they. I think I can't remember if it was episode 3 or 4, but the scene when Vader fucks up Obi-Wan, which was that.
I have problems with that as well. Big problems. Yeah.
Because I thought they kind of ruined.
But...
I thought they kind of ruined that whole reunion because so much so that I thought when they initially saw each other that Vader was still like a vision of Obi-Wan's. Like I thought he was like thinking he was seeing him. I was not expecting them to meet like that, so much so that I thought, oh, he's now just hallucinating that Vader's right there.
Yeah.
And then he'll actually see Vader like from a distance and be like, oh fuck, there he is. But no, it didn't. It also felt like Vader should have killed him if he could have done all, as not like should have, as in like that.
I don't think he
for his
would
character
have killed him, but yeah.
But like the fact that like they got away so easily.
But that's a common thing with the series, isn't it? If you just turn around and run, normally you get away from things, even if you never could.
One person with a blaster has stopped Darth fucking Vader. Like, really?
Like, come on.
That's what I thought was gonna happen. I thought the spy woman who's the officer would shoot Vader. Vader would then kill her, but then while he's doing that, the massive robot would save Obi-Wan. That's what I thought.
That's a possibility.
That would have worked better, just in the sense that, but then you wouldn't have had episode 4 and they wouldn't have been able to infiltrate, and it kind of...
Oh yeah, no, it wouldn't have worked for an actual story point of view. But one thing I did love, my favourite part of the entire series was just the one moment where Vader is walking through the town, this town, trying to find Obi-Wan, and he just like snaps two dudes' necks.
Yeah.
Like
credit
with
where
a flick
credit
of
is
his
due.
wrist.
Vader is fucking scary.
Yeah,
I think that bit was
cool.
so good. That particular scene where he's walking through, just being nasty, but dragging that person behind him, just walking around. That was fucking brilliant. That was
because he knows that Obi-Wan didn't see him
they
doing
do
it.
Vader a lot of justice in this of being brutal, and then in the 4th episode, just go, nope. Because it's like, oh, you've got this really brutal scene, and then like I was fully prepared for the third sister to just die in the 4th episode, and because it was just like she failed. Obi-Wan was there. They had Leia. She's failed, and then you have the breath of Darth Vader, and then he storms into the room, force chokes her, lifts her up, and goes, "You have failed me for the last time." If this is Vader, he just snaps her neck, chokes her out. But this Vader, for some reason, lets her talk, and she goes, "I've got a tracker on their ship." Trope, which is stupid, by the way, and used in every single show, and is boring as fuck. Think of another way to find people instead of just putting a tracker in them. And then he's like, and then suddenly she's got a second chance, and it's like, come on, think of something original. We've had trackers in every show that's ever existed.
Well, I suppose with Star Wars, if you go specifically to Star Wars, like it's happened a few times. Like it happened in episode
Obi-Wan tracked
2.
Jango Fett.
It's happened.
I don't.
Yeah, like
no, I don't. To be honest, I don't mind the use of the tracker. I don't think that's too much of a problem because they did pay attention to the robot. They did like bring attention to the fact.
Yeah, they brought attention to it, but I'm just saying it's a boring trope. Like once it's been used 4 times in a series, maybe thinking of a different way other than just relying on. Oh, don't worry, we've got trackers. We can just use that.
Well,
I guess the thing that I take issue with is not the tracking of it. It's not like the fact that she used a tracker, because I agree with Charlie. I think the way that the tracker was done with the little robot, I think that was not a bad way of doing that. I think the thing was kind of touching on the idea of Darth Vader has given her one more chance, like 3 times now.
Yeah.
Like,
Just
I think
kill her.
that's the...
You know?
And it's like, you kill, like, in the original ones, like, he kills, like, generals.
Yeah,
for, like,
for whispering.
speaking out
Very
of turn.
minor things.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
yeah.
It's like,
Going back
obviously-
to the scene with the fire, there was a few things that I felt with that episode were really annoying. Was that, as Charlie said before, everyone's approach to things is turn around and run away. Like, fair enough, if I saw Darth Vader, I'd be like, oh, fuck me, I'm going to run away. But then Obi-Wan just keeps running away from him in, like, a quarry. And it's like, stop running away. I get why you are running away, but it's annoying watching
he's
people
running away because
run away.
he doesn't want to. He doesn't want to confront what he did. Like, he doesn't
that's
want to
fine, and that's fine of the whole confrontation. But it's boring to watch people turn and run away without any kind of like mental anguish being shown. And all they did was show him turn around and run away,
that's true.
and then looking behind, and then Vader would appear, and then he'd go and then run away in another direction. And it's just like, show us what he's thinking. Show us why he's running away. Don't just show him running away.
See, for me, I wasn't thinking that deeply about it. For me, it was like he can run away first, but I think the bit where he realizes he's run into almost like a dead end with the fire and stuff, that needs to come a lot earlier. Because the thing I used when I was talking to James about it is, Andy, do you remember the Monty Python and the Holy Grail? When you've got Lancelot fucking running at the castle. And it just goes back to the guards, and then he's just running, and it goes back to the guards, and he's running towards it, and it goes back to the guards, and then he finally just comes up and stabs them, right? That is what watching that scene felt like.
It feels
because
really
it felt
long.
like we were just. It was literally like I might even just fucking edit that because that's what it reminded me of. So you could put that music over the Obi-Wan scene. And it would fit because it's just like Vader just getting absolutely nowhere. He's just like, oh my god, he's still there. He's still there. I was just like, this is going on for too long. I didn't have a problem with him running away. I had a problem with how long that went.
Well, that's what I'm saying. It's the feeling of just like he's running away again, and then he's running away again, and it's like cool, but give us the reasons that he's running away. It felt like they didn't set up why he's distinctly scared of Vader for people who haven't watched the previous series. And there's going to be people that haven't watched the previous series.
It did seem like you could have replaced Obi-Wan with, that random Jedi at the beginning who got hung.
Yeah.
You could have just replaced Obi-Wan with him, and it would be the same thing.
Yeah.
It would just be a dude running away from someone who's
maybe
stronger.
that would have been better if they'd have showed how intimidating Vader is in the first episode with that Jedi. So you're saying, take that scene and replace it with that Jedi and have Vader kill that Jedi by dragging him into the fire and leaving him there. This is the other problem I have, but I'll go on to that in a minute. And dragging him into the fire and killing him. And then it's like, holy shit, Vader is bad in this. Like, he's a badass. But you don't deal with the factor of making Obi-Wan look like, I don't know, just not himself.
Well, I suppose, but the whole point is that he's not himself. He is not the Obi-Wan in episode 3.
But it doesn't feel as though it's his character. It feels like it's a new character. It doesn't feel like it's the previous Obi-Wan that is having this mental anguish. It feels like it's a new character.
That's I kind of disagree on that. For me, that's a bit more like headcanon-y, rather.
This is what I mean by like the small tropes of like how he uses the Force and how he doesn't like blasters. It feels like they're missing out character things that they've previously established and just almost ignoring it.
I guess the difficulty would be is that the whole thing about him suddenly being in love, or not love, but just using blasters all the time. I guess you could argue like in the decade.
It's part of his colour, right?
He obviously can't.
So why does he use it all the time in episode 4, and then when it's convenient, he doesn't use it?
Well, you say he uses it all the time in episode 4.
It's been 10 years.
He does use the lightsaber in episode 4. I don't know if they did this
all the time, and then as soon as it's close combat, he doesn't use it.
But I feel I'm not sure they did this deliberately. I assume they did, but he didn't look like extremely confident while using it.
No,
like he didn't look like, badass like he would have in episode 2 or 3.
I must admit though, I did quite enjoy the lightsaber scenes. I thought
But,
it was
okay,
cool.
yeah.
Oh, do you know what? This is something I need to.
Gone straight back to the
This
stuff
is
he was
something
doing
I need
in the
to
previous
pull
ones.
up.
He was
Actually.
perfect. I thought he was really good.
Yeah. You know the coolest scene that we've had so far, where it's Leia in the chamber who's being kept. It's all dark, and then they use the light of the lightsaber to kill the two guards. Coolest scene we've had so far. Direct rip-off.
Oh, is it?
Of what?
Absolute rip-off. After this, we'll watch a scene from, I think it's the Force Unleashed 2, potentially, and it's the trailer release where it's Starkiller, and Vader gets him sent into a room to kill him.
Hold on.
I've seen that.
Is that a rip-off or is that an homage?
No, it will be a rip-off. They've looked at that scene and gone, that's cool, and just ripped it off.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because
I didn't even know that scene existed, and I really liked the scene.
That's the thing. That's
why
I
didn't know
like,
that existed. So.
Like for me, I watched that scene and I was like, they've just used that other scene and gone. Nobody knows the Force Unleashed had like teaser.
I think. Do you know what I was going to say, Charlie?
Like,
it was cool seeing him use the lightsaber to like deflect all the blaster bullets and stuff, but it felt like that's just because we've been so starved of seeing this in any Star Wars stuff. Because it was like, wow, that's the first time we've seen this since, if you exclude, since the episode, the movie.
I can't even think of a moment in the
7,
recent
8, and 9.
3 where they deflected blaster bolts.
Because Rey is, for the first 2, shouldn't even have really a lightsaber for most of it. And she only ever fights Kylo Ren.
Let's
get on
to the other Star Wars things a bit later, maybe. And keep on track with the Kenobi ones. Because I'm sure we've all got plenty to say about the other ones. Well.
Yeah, we won't even.
I've enjoyed it so far. I genuinely think. The biggest issue is that it's not really about Kenobi. So
that's
far.
That's the biggest thing for me. Is it feels like they're trying to tell 3 people's stories, but I don't care about 2 of them. Yeah. That's not why I'm watching the show, and that for me is the biggest letdown. Is because
my biggest gripe is my biggest gripe so far is the show doesn't know what it is. So when Obi Wan Kenobi, it doesn't know what's good. Jon Favreau don't know the deal. I don't know if he did a directing or not, but so they do the classic Disney Star Wars thing of all of the lightsabers, rather than like cut fools in half, they like graze their chest and then they're dead.
Even though we watched a clone trooper get cut in half.
But then they have that scene. So it's like, well, if you're going to do that, because that, genuinely, that caught me off guard most the entire time, like, of everything. I was like, whoa, what the hell? Like, they've not done anything that crazy in this entire series, or even in, like, even in The Mandalorian or Book of Boba Fett. Like, they've not done anything that graphic, which I'm fine with it if they do it. But it's like, why don't they do that when, like, people have lightsabers and are actually cutting fools down?
I think it's kind of... I mean, part of the bottom line of it has to be that this is sort of aimed at kids. That's the point. Yeah. Right? I think now.
But then they're still cutting fools in half, Charlie.
I know, and it's like, it's this thing of I don't know, dude.
Disney doesn't know what it wants to create. It doesn't know whether it's creating Obi-Wan for the people who watched the prequels and the people who have grown up with the prequels and Obi-Wan, or it's creating it for new fans, and they're stuck in a limbo.
Well, it obviously it's creating it for new fans. The very fact that they included the 6 or 7 minute exposition of Anakin and Obi-Wan, it makes sense that they do that, and they probably should have done that. But from that moment, it was very clear. Oh, this is definitely designed for someone who just got Disney Plus, who's seen all the adverts for Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Yeah.
This is not designed... Well, it's partially, but not totally designed for people who are just huge Star Wars fans.
I think it is a thing that they've massively nerfed the lightsabers. Because, I mean, I just remember people talking about Phantom Menace, and it was like... You know the bit where Qui-Gon was cutting through that door and stuff like that?
Yeah.
And there were animations and things where if he dropped the lightsaber, it would just keep going through the ship. Like... But with Disney lightsabers, it feel like it would go boink and fall over. You know what I mean? It's just...
It's like close... In that scene, they're like, close the blast doors. And they close the blast doors. And then Qui-Gon Jinn just pushes his lightsaber further in.
Yeah, exactly. It's just like... Exactly. And it's just like... I think that was... And I did watch a video on it, admittedly, which was talking about it a lot. And I didn't even think of this. But now, after seeing that, I was like, actually, I do kind of agree with that. The lightsaber isn't... It used to be a fucking horrifying weapon because it cut off body parts left, right, and centre. People's hands were going flying and shit, which admittedly Reva did do. She did cut off someone's hand, and that was cool.
Yeah.
the interrogation thing. But again, the slices on the stormtroopers and stuff. It doesn't.
Boring.
It just looks like it's making a red line, and it's like, why is he falling over? He's just got a scratch in his arm, and he should be shooting him.
Yeah, like his
they
arm.
do that, and then they cut that dude in half.
Yeah.
They're like, well, so why are you including the cutting this dude in half? And bear in mind that part where the guy falls on the thing. I get stylistically they did it to show that this is actually a laser. Like you have to get past it somehow. That's why they showed that. But you could have cut the dude getting completely cut in half out of it, and it would have still had. You could have thought of a different way. You could have had a box or something.
They also could have gone round it.
My God, yeah, that was one thing that I genuinely.
They're in
I
a
didn't even
fucking
think about
desert.
That.
Just go round it.
Yeah.
Like,
or show the audience why they can't go around.
Yeah, show a big wall or something.
Or like loads of animals or something that they can't get past.
Yeah, it feels like this is the last thing that I promise is like something that's pretty minimal, but it really bugged me. Yeah. Obi-Wan gets dragged into fire.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then is fine.
Well, he was in a tank. He was in that tank healing up.
Also,
no. As
Lucasfilm got a contract with people that make huge glass tanks.
He is in fire for a minute. There are people that have a cooker, like light a bit too much, and it goes, and they have 3rd-degree burns on their face for the rest of their life.
Yeah, but this is
fire.
Star Wars future stuff.
He was in a tank like that. He was floating.
No. But it's the battered tank is fine. But it's when he gets out of it, like when he gets dragged out the fire, he's got a bit of burn mark on here. Oh, poor baby. He's in fire.
The only excuse I have
for
dead.
That is he'd have set
Disney.
On fire himself. Like this
it's
is why
Disney aimed at kids, and that's
but this is it.
This
is the annoying thing. I'm agreeing with Andy here on the sense that they've chopped somebody in half. Why now are they just disillusioned with the fact that fire would set somebody on fire? He'd have been burnt to shit. Do it a different way. Torture him in a different way. Pick him up and choke him if you can't set someone on fire.
Or
why put someone
make him
on
nearly
fire
about
and
to
then
set
go,
him on
but
fire.
they're not going to be burnt. It's fine.
Yeah.
It's like they've gone, oh, that'd be cool if he dragged him into fire, and then gone, yeah, let's do that. That's a really good idea. But then you have to deal with the repercussions
to be fair, he can't have a melted face.
Well, exactly. Then you've got to deal with the repercussions of he'd die, and he'd die.
Or at the very minimum, he would be deformed so much that
horribly
it would make the future version of him in The New Hope not the same character.
Literally. Like that's why I feel like they've just gone, this would be a cool idea, and then gone from there. They haven't actually thought about anything that they're doing. Like we were saying about, you were saying the other day, Charlie, with like the Jurassic Parks, the new ones, where they went Chris Pratt on a motorbike with raptors, that'd be cool, and then they just did that as a film.
They've done that.
They did that and then
every single film.
Yeah, like
that's a different thing entirely. But yeah.
But it felt like
they
found moments and then went,
they had one
we'll
guy
just fill it in.
Yeah. They had a writer who was like, yeah, we'll make Anakin do to Obi-Wan what happened to him, and then we'll kind of just figure out how to get out.
Yeah, we'll figure out how he's going to do that. It's like,
yeah. It's like,
just annoying.
And
physics don't work, and yeah, it's Star Wars, but fire's fire.
I've also been thinking as we've been talking as well. Because there was something else, and I was thinking about Reva, and I was trying to think why I don't think she's a particularly good villain, and I've got a couple things, right? So one of them is she has a full-on like argument with Leia and comes off second best, and it's like
with a child.
She's not threatening because she's just like ranting and screaming and stuff. She's like a Kylo Ren, where she's just like ranting, screaming.
She seemed like an annoyed
like a
teacher.
child. And I'm thinking now. So my favorite Sith is Darth Maul from the first one, right? And I'm thinking to the build-up we had. So the introduction of Reva's character and the introduction of Darth Maul. So Darth Maul's character, I think the first time he's introduced is on a hologram, and it's Palpatine saying, "My apprentice will deal with him," and this hooded figure comes behind him, and it's like, "Oh, that's quite cool." And then you see him using those drones to try and find the Jedi, and he finds them, and he has that little fight with Qui-Gon, and then they escape and stuff like that. So when you get down to the final fight, right, you have a general idea of who this dude is, not any backstory or anything like that. You just know he's pretty strong, he's pretty quick, and he's pretty intelligent.
Yeah.
And is
and he's got a cool ass lightsaber.
When he finally takes off the hood and he's got that fucking really cool looking, like the face paint, the horns and stuff like that and everything, he is just terrifying. And it's the slow build up part, and it's a similar thing with Dooku as well.
Yeah,
that's why he's so good, is you have the slow build up and you find out more about him later. But if your first encounter with them is just them screaming at a bunch of townspeople and losing their temper and stuff, they're not threatening. Those guys are threatening because it feels like they're like,
it's ominous.
They're dominant. They feel like they're in control all the time, and it's a real fuck. How am I going to deal with this bloke? But Reva, it feels like you could just insult her a few times, she'd start crying, and then you can shoot her.
That's why I feel the Kenobi series is perfectly setting her up for like a redemption arc, because that's what.
Yeah,
because that's the only way. Because if she was actually menacing, they'd make it menacing.
Like what you were saying with kind of like there's this tension of like, wow, the intelligence, the slow build up and stuff. They started that with the Grand Inquisitor.
Yeah,
he came in and he was intimidating everyone. He like intimidated the whole room. He got the whole townsfolk like just by talking. There was no shouting. There was just talking.
Yes.
And then he identified the Force user. And then was like angry at his team for like fucking it up for him. And then
he was much more. Yeah. He felt more like he was in control. He was diplomatic. He was composed. And that is the bit that feels dangerous.
Absolutely.
For me, anyway. Some people may disagree, but like I think that the way the Grand Inquisitor handled things, when he was talking, the bartender, there was a bit of tension.
Yeah.
It was just like, because you're not really sure what he's going to do. It felt like he could sort of just chop him up in one go if he wanted to, or it felt like the bartender could get out of it if he chose his words correctly and all this sort of stuff, Whereas with Reva, it was just like, no, she doesn't have that same like air around her. I guess she doesn't.
She's
feel
got the kind of
like,
and it's almost as if she's got the aggression of the Sith, and she's got that drive. But she doesn't have, as you say, like she doesn't have the control that Dooku and Maul had to be like, I'm going to take my moment and I'm going to annihilate them in the moment that I choose the best.
Do you know what I think? I think it feels like she's. Sorry, Andy. Just quickly do this. You go. Actually,
I thought it was like maybe that's like maybe kind of the nature of what the Inquisitors are. Like they're not supposed to be the foreboding huge bad guys like Darth Vader. They're supposed to be the henchmen who just clean up and do dirty work, but also have the Force and can use lightsabers. But they're not supposed to be
because they're not apprentices
Vader or a Sidious.
They're not classified as Sith because there's the rules.
They're basically slaves.
It feels like they still should though, because if you're an average person, you come across a Force user with a lightsaber, you should be fucked in every situation.
And I will always recommend that people not listen to, but watch Rebels, Clone Wars, things like that, because in Rebels, the Inquisitors are like, Vader appears in a little bit, but the Inquisitors are the Inquisitors. They go around and they kill Jedi. That is their job. Yeah. And they just go around fucking people up. There's no second way about it. It's not this kind of like shouting at townsfolk. They go around, they go to a place, they identify a Jedi, they kill them, they leave. Like that's
I tell you,
they even kind of allude to that in this. Is like, because the Grand Inquisitor's like, why are we still here? Like, we got, like, this is small fry. Like, why are we getting this guy?
I think what I was going to say though is I think that Reva feels like she's at the start of the arc. Still, at the very, very start. She's an inexperienced, immature, upstart, I guess, is the word to use it, right? So she's right at the start of it. So she's someone who should be, over the course of time, developing into a very serious threat. And that's what I mean by, like, when you have 3 character arcs that I don't care about 2 of them, because her arc is never going to be finished. We got 2 episodes.
I think we've got 2 second season.
Well, it's not be finished.
But this Reva has to be something. If that's the case, something has to happen to Reva at the end of this season, which makes her that more serious, composed, scary person.
Is it the return of the
Because
Grand Inquisitor?
It might be.
It'll be
puts her in her place.
Yeah.
But that needs to, because right now she isn't a threat. But like you say, she's got the Sith thing of like she's got the motivation. She's clearly extremely loyal to Vader, and she's pretty dangerous. She's good. She's good with the Force. She's good with the lightsaber. So all that needs to be sorted out is she needs to almost like grow up a bit. And if she does that, and if she's a bit more calm and more composed and more calculating, because at the moment she's fucking everything up, but still winning. And that's like
it's kind of like
that should be happening. It feels like she should be losing, and then later on, because of what she learns from the losses,
it's the
now
Rey
she's
effect.
a serious, valid threat. And that's where I think my main problem is she's being treated as the main villain when she shouldn't. She should be almost a secondary villain who should be slowly built up into the season 2 villain. And we need a new primary villain, which is now. Because it can't be Vader, because he'll kill Obi Wan. And it can't be Reva, because she feels like she's not ready. So it should be either the Grand Inquisitor or the other Inquisitor.
But at the same time,
like,
do we need a villain? Because one of the big things that we've spoken about beforehand is with Leia being kidnapped, Obi-Wan going to save her, we know neither of them die. We know that neither of them can die in this series because it's directly linked to both of them being alive in the future. So when there's no stakes, and I think this is where they kind of almost got it close to being good, in the sense that they picked Leia and they went, right, now we can give her an arc which will make Obi-Wan into Ben, and Leia could potentially be the person that they go on an adventure. We know neither of them are going to die, and there's a lot of emotional growth from Obi-Wan in that sense, because we know neither of them are going to die. So all the sense that Leia's been kidnapped, like Obi-Wan goes to save her, neither of them are going to die, so there's no tension with those scenes. There's no tension with stormtroopers shooting at Obi-Wan, because there's not a chance any of them are going to hit him. Like Obi-Wan being dragged in the fire, not going to die. We know that. He's going to escape somehow. Cool. Like, takes the tension out of the scene.
Yeah, that's true.
So in that sense, do we need a big villain that is
that's why the
constantly
officer
hunting
lady's
them
character,
when all
James.
we need is growth?
Because she's going to get killed.
It's
It's the Imperial officer spy woman. She's going to be the person who, dies, who is like, no, we lost, like, that. That's the only one where there's any stakes.
In that voice.
Like when they killed that... like when they killed that one guy in the speeder, and there was that sad little moment, I was thinking, we don't know this guy.
Care.
He was on screen for 2 minutes.
Yeah, he was like, I'm never going to help you. Okay, I'll help you.
God, oh my God, that was so
weird.
fucking dumb.
I put that in the chat.
I know exactly what the Empire can do. I'll help you.
Yeah, exactly. I'm pretty sure I put that in the chat, didn't I? Because he literally just went, 100%, I'm not going to help you. To thinking about it for about 2 seconds, and he went, all right, I changed my mind. It's just like...
He did like, the Rick and... Have you seen that Rick and Morty episode where they, like, spoof Ocean's 11, and they're like, I got a job for you.
Oh, yeah.
You got to do this. You probably won't make it. You son of a bitch, I'm in. Like, that's essentially what this guy did. He was like, they killed my wife. I never go against them. Okay, you got me. You're twisting my arm. But they literally didn't say anything.
I think the bit about that is it feels like unnecessary dialogue, because if he just went, they killed my wife, I'll help you. That makes sense, because he's trying to get back at the Empire. But for him to go, they killed my wife, I'm never going to help you because of what they did, and I know what they did, and I know how dangerous they are. And by the way, when we're doing it, it's like, it just kind of feels
It would also
odd.
then track to a really lovely moment where he comes in the speeder, and he's shooting them, and maybe she's like, oh, I'm not going to be able to get away. And he's like, no, go, I'll hold them off. And then he dies holding them off for her because he wants to kill as many of them as possible.
That was a different guy. That was a different guy.
It wasn't even that guy who died.
But this is my point. Like, you
Which
could have a
proves
really
how dumb
nice
this
moment
is.
with that.
This was the other bit. This is the other
They could have,
bit.
they could have
just
had a
like the guy
moment
who
with that.
died, the pilot who died. We've never met him before.
Yeah, you're just
So
like,
it was
cool.
He wasn't even. He was because if you are right, if it was that guy, the guy who was like, "You son of a bitch, I'm in." If it was that guy, then there'd be a little bit of stakes.
See, that's my point.
The guy
because he could have been like, "No, I'll save you," and like is angry and trying to kill as many as possible because they killed his wife, and then you have a really nice moment of him sacrificing himself so others can live on and he can be with his wife.
But they just killed this random guy who had like 2 lines, and for some reason Obi-Wan's sad, even though I don't think he's like Literally,
because people are
they were just
dying
seen
for
together
him
for like
again.
15
I think
seconds.
that's why it's like people are sacrificing their lives for him again, but then nobody distinctly ever says that, and he never alludes to that. So
and it's also it's kind of they're sacrificing their lives for Leia, I suppose, is the way.
Yeah,
Like
this is the way.
Why is Bail Organa not doing anything? This is another thing which like seemed kind of interesting to me, because it was like
he doesn't really care.
He's like, I can't do anything because the Empire's twisted my arm, and it was just like, I'm sorry, but at this point you don't have a Death Star. Why are you pissing off an entire planet for no good reason? Because if Bail Organa decides we need to do something here and starts sending soldiers after his daughter, who everyone in the public thinks is his daughter, that's perfectly justified, and that's inciting a rebellion unnecessarily.
But also, if anything, like
weird.
The whole selling point of the Empire is order,
and I don't know if she's done it.
Yeah.
Either they shouldn't be backing her on this, and Bail should be able to do something, or it's like I feel like there should be some sort of diplomatic, political repercussion to this. But again, that might be. But at the same time, I think that might be reading a bit too into it, because it's like, again, no one remembers the trade agreements from episode 1, so bringing massive amount of political shit into
so
it
expanded
doesn't matter.
the universe.
It did.
Like,
yeah,
if this was like if this was like a 15 episode run and they were running with the same storyline, he'd be in it more, and there'd be more political based.
Yes, agreed.
Chitter chatter. But
it feels like there's episodes that needs to be fleshed out more.
Yeah, absolutely.
If that makes sense. I feel because at the moment I feel like we've rushed through a lot of character interactions and a lot of scenes and stuff, and nothing's really happened. It's really bizarre.
That's why I feel like Obi-Wan shouldn't be using the Force again, like so suddenly, and just jumping into fights and stuff. We should have had at least 2 episodes of no, I'm not going to help.
We need a Rocky Balboa montage.
Yeah, and then he has like a realization maybe where that he sees that young Jedi's body, and he's like, I could have helped this guy, and I've just said no to helping Leia. She could end up like him. Maybe I should help. Some sort of realization.
Well, that's what he does. That is kind of what he does, though. But it's that is kind of what he does, because he does kind of have a little, he does end up going in the end. But yeah.
But he doesn't get like a distinct there's the bit in the town, but there's no like spark. You know what I mean? There's no brilliant
I think that's
artistic
kind of
cinematic moment that could draw him in.
I think it's kind of like going, he's literally doing this because he knows he's the only one who can do it, rather than like there's not a I have to do this because I'm a hero again. It's a I've got it, like no one else will do this.
Yeah, but then
still,
if he's like that,
he's not confident.
When he finds Leia and she runs away from him, wouldn't you just grab her by the hair and be like, I'm gonna put you in a bag, like I'm gonna knock you out with the Force and we're gonna go. If you're doing it just because you have to, you're not gonna be, no, don't worry, it's fine, it's cool. You literally just grab the kid and go.
Yeah.
Right.
I guess then maybe that's part of his old kind of more, nicer ways still bleeding in.
Yeah.
But it doesn't mean that things like the scene where he holds back all the water with the Force.
Yeah.
That was a really
That
cool
was crazy.
Scene. I liked it. I thought it was awesome. That's insane.
It was a cool scene
with the Force. That was insane power.
But
it didn't feel owned.
I take issue with that.
I mean?
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
I take massive issue with that. I don't know who I mentioned. It might have been to Charlie or to both of you. Like in that very episode, 10 minutes prior, he struggles to lift something like the size of a phone across a table. Like there's a scene where he's like trying to move this little box thing, and it's like, so you're struggling to do that, but you then can like redirect like thousands and thousands of pounds worth of pressure and force down into a certain direction.
Do you know something which I think would have been hilarious to see included, because it's such a dumb tropey thing, but I think I would have totally forgiven it? It's after he failed to lift that phone thing and found out Anakin alive, if he cut his hair to the shortcut that he's got in episode 3 and episode 4, if he cut it to that and from there was good, I'd be down with that, because that's like a representation of a different mental state and things
Going
like that.
back to like
because his hair is all long now, so if he cut it short to how it was last time, it's tropey as hell and it's dumb as hell, but I would have been like, fuck it,
cut it back to the mullet from episode 2.
Oh my god, with the little rat tail.
Yeah.
Or,
So I've got
Anakin
two
at it,
tiny little things that I'll mention as well. Tiny little things before we jump in and do
just
predictions.
tiny little things.
For what?
Yeah.
For what? But it's more cinematically based. So like in that scene, he holds back all the water, and then the water suddenly floods through, and Obi-Wan runs and goes through the door, and no water comes through the door. That annoyed me. Just for the sake of if all that water's rushing in, it's gonna flow through the door, because the door was still open for a bit after he went through it, and no water came through.
I'm going
to
counteract that with my own extreme headcanon. So if you have doors with at an area like that, right, with the station like that, with an underwater corridor like that, if you have doors there and they aren't waterproof, you're a fucking idiot.
Oh no, that's fine. That's fine. But they're open for a period of time as he's running.
No, yeah,
as
what
he
James
comes
is saying
through
is
the
the
door is
equivalent
still open and no water comes through at the bottom.
Like not even like a
they
few
close.
drops.
Like that was something that I was like, okay, you've just ignored that. Maybe it would have fleshed out the world if like the bottom of their capes were a bit wet.
Literally,
that's fine.
Pay a guy to have a bucket and a green screen
and
suit
just
on,
throw it through.
some water at the bottom of it.
That would have been brilliant.
Yeah.
What was the other thing?
Yeah.
That's minor, right? That's very minor.
Oh, that's tiny.
Tiny,
but it's something you notice and it makes the world seem wrong.
I'll be honest, James, I don't notice that.
Like, well, I did.
I only noticed it when they did the close-up shot. When they did the close-up shot of the door like slowly starting to leak. When they did that,
that was cool.
I was like, oh, why isn't there more on more water just around in general? But then I guess you could maybe argue, well, maybe he used a little bit of the force to shove the water behind.
Yeah, just casually just flicks it back.
Yeah, exactly.
I can't remember what the other thing was. If it crops up, I'll mention it. But in terms of where do we think it's going to go?
So I think we're going to have the reveal that Reva was in the Jedi Temple at the start for Order 66, and I don't think I'm going to care about it because I don't think she's built up enough. And I didn't watch it for her, which is unfortunate because I think it's like I say, I think it's been thrown under the bus, that character. I think it could have been a great character, but
absolutely, yeah.
we needed more episodes, we needed more build up, and we need more development from her. And
I think the actress as a whole has been thrown under the bus a little bit as well, because it's appalling that she's been getting like messages and stuff about it, and it's like, come on, it's a fucking character. I don't like the character, but I'm never going to go out there and be like, it's because of you. Like, no, she was given a script that sucked. Like,
she
which is also true because,
and that's fine.
Anakin Skywalker is a perfect example. Skywalker is a perfect example of he didn't have good lines.
Yeah,
he was not he had notoriously awful lines.
I've said this before. Like Attack of the Clones, where Hayden Christensen got so much shit for his lines. I've said this before. That movie made Natalie Portman look bang average. That was not a good script. That was an awful script.
Yeah, it was bad.
Yeah. But that's it, isn't it? It's like, with the character, I agree. It's like there's going to be some sort of reveal, whether it is the Grand Inquisitor's still alive and that will grow her character arc, or she was in the temple, or she gets close to getting Obi-Wan and Vader kills her or something like that, and then we learn the Grand Inquisitor's still alive.
What I kind of want to see. So, what about season 2 then? Is that actually going to be a thing?
Apparently, showrunners.
I'd be mad if they didn't do it.
In that case, I would like to see Reva's character have some sort of bad thing happen, or something like, if she does continue to succeed as she is, if Vader decides to train her a little bit for season 2, I would find that interesting. I would be perfectly down with that. Because like I said before, I think she's an unfinished article at the moment. I don't think she's a complete enemy. And if you say, like, if you gave like a year or 6 months, even that sort of time skip between season 1 and season 2 of her training under Vader, if she comes back, she could be an extremely dangerous enemy, and I would really love for that to happen. But I don't know if that's going to happen. I think Reva is a character with a lot of potential. basically, and it remains to be seen if they'll fulfill it. But I think you could. I think you could make Reva extremely interesting.
Yeah. They could have in
character.
this season.
They could have, but
you know,
maybe they could in season 2. I don't know.
But then you know, the show's called Kenobi. It's barely even about him, and so to fit someone who isn't even the titular character, who they want to be a main character, to give her enough screen time is kind of like they have kind of shot themselves in the foot with the only 6 episodes or 7 whatever it is episodes.
Yes.
Thing.
Either they have to be 7 episodes purely about Kenobi, or that's bad. If they, do you know, I wouldn't have minded if they'd gone down almost like a Boba Fett sort of route with it, where you just had short stories with Kenobi at the centerpiece. So you could have had him doing things like, instead of dealing with, so Boba Fett was dealing with the Hutts for a little bit, and he dealt with the rival gangster stuff. But if Obi Wan Kenobi dealt with this smuggling ring, or whatever you call it, people smuggling thing, people trafficking ring, which was telling people, oh, we're Jedi, we're Jedi, we'll get you out of here, and they're doing bad things, and he went in and stopped that would be an interesting couple of episodes. As it is in the series, that was kind of wasted, because it was like, this guy's lying about being a Jedi and passing people through, but he's actually doing the right thing, and they're still ending up safe, and I was kind of like, that feels a bit odd. Why is this man conning them? What's the point of pretending to be a Jedi?
Well, I assume that guy is coming back.
Like, that seems weird.
I assume that guy is going to be a feature of the last 2. I mean, at least in it. I don't know. It'd be weird to introduce that character and have him in it for like a whole episode properly.
I think they could have done episodic things. They could have had things with people almost discovering Luke, and then he steps in and stops it. I think the problem with introducing Leia is that's supposed to be Bail Organa's job, to look after Leia, and Kenobi's meant to be looking after Luke. So now he's looking after Leia, and no one's guarding Luke at the moment.
Luke's just casually on his own, just hanging out in the middle of a desert. No.
Exactly. So I think it almost would have been better to do short stories. But anyway, I've gone on a massive tangent from predictions. I think prediction-wise, Reva's going to get a finish to the arc. I don't know if the finish will be with a setup for season 2, or I don't know if it's just going to be the reveal that she's in the Jedi Temple, but it's going to be something like that. Leia, probably is going to get reunited.
She's going to die.
I hope they don't continue.
Imagine.
I hope they don't continue with Leia for season 2, and that's not against like the character. I actually think the character of Leia has been pretty good.
I think the actress has done really well.
Besides the running away from stuff, I mean, the fact that she's quite witted,
apart from being a little bitch,
and she's got a lot of like good comebacks and stuff like that. That fits with the Leia we've seen previously, like in the New Hope and stuff like that, like the aren't you too short to be a stormtrooper kind of stuff. I actually quite liked Leia's character. I just don't like her running away from shit so much. But I feel like that's, you can't really do too much more with that character. So I'm presuming she's going to go back to Bail. I don't know. In terms of Kenobi, I think what we're going to get is probably some sort of final wrap up for his transformation into someone who's actually a bit more motivated. I don't know how they're going to do that. I just hope we get a fucking cool lightsaber fight out of it. That's all I just want a cool lightsaber fight, if I'm honest with you. I'll forgive everything if there's a cool lightsaber fight.
That lightsaber fight won't be between... Yeah.
I was going to say, before you do your prediction, Andy, I've just remembered what was the second thing that annoyed me.
Ooh.
Leia's really good at running away from things. She goes into people trafficking and runs through the hallway. She's running. She's got a massive head start. She's running. And then 10 minutes later, Reva finds, the tunnel as well and starts walking down it to find Leia, and then gets to the end before her.
Teleports in front of you.
It's a single file tunnel.
Yeah. No. Yeah. That's
physics.
Oh, I didn't even think of that.
That fucking annoyed me as well. Anyway, predictions.
I didn't even think of that. Oh, I think my prediction is going to be the cool lightsaber fight. Pretty much, I echo most of the things we've already said, but the cool lightsaber fight will be between Obi-Wan and the Grand Inquisitor. I think we've had all the Darth Vader in it from a fighting point of view that we'll see for the rest of the series. This definitely season 1, because they can't have him. Well, they could have him fighting those all the time, but I feel like he's more of a menacing character that turns up occasionally rather than the staple bad guy. But then maybe he will be, so who knows. We also haven't seen really... I do feel a bit bad for Hayden Christensen. Like,
Yes.
he's been part of the press tour,
Yeah.
but his face has been in it for, what, 5 seconds?
Yeah,
Yes,
and being Vader, they replaced his voice with James Earl Jones. So.
Yeah.
Which makes sense
That
to do.
sucks.
Oh, absolutely,
But I think,
yeah.
Honestly, I'm actually quite happy that he's just had a chance to parade around in the Vader costume. I think that's great. I think it is
man,
good
right.
because I thought him in Revenge of the Sith. Revenge of the Sith, like I saw on Twitter and stuff, people said that they hated it and stuff. I really liked it, and I thought he was fucking brilliant. So I think it's nice to actually see him actually getting a bit of credit for it. And hopefully he gets some more acting stuff now, because I think he stepped away from acting for ages because of it, and I think that's unfair. And I hope it doesn't happen to Reva's actress or anyone.
Yeah, definitely.
In that series, because the bottom line of this is, although we're chatting shit about it and stuff like that, you don't message them, you don't abuse them about it. It's not that deep. Yeah. Like,
not
you don't do that.
Yeah.
If anything, you send them a nice message saying, "Yeah, I thought this character was really good."
I think. Have you got any more predictions?
Send them.
I've just got
the
prediction of, I think the big lightsaber fight is going to be between 2 Sith, or between 2 bad guys. I don't think we're going to have a massive lightsaber fight between Obi-Wan and someone else. If anything,
it will be between Reva and the Grand Inquisitor.
See, that was my thinking. There will be some sort of reveal that the Grand Inquisitor is still here, and there'll be like a fight between the 2 of them, and then Obi-Wan will have like a little scrap with Reva, maybe, or a scrap with the Grand Inquisitor, but it won't be the grandiose lightsaber fight we think it's going to be.
I think that Reva will become a good guy, or at least become a different bad guy, and that's why
possibly, yeah,
they'll try and kill each other, and Obi-Wan will not probably be involved at all.
Because I think if they have a massive lightsaber fight with Obi-Wan and someone else, everyone will be like, he hasn't used the lightsaber in so many years. Why is he using it now?
Yeah, come on.
Like, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
But at the same time,
the thing is, it's so tough to make everyone happy.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. There'll be people that are loving this series because they love the relationship between Obi-Wan and Leia.
That's perfectly fine.
Which is
like
chill. Like, the relationship's decent. Yeah, it's fine. It's as we said before, it's just not what we expected, and therefore it's disappointing.
Would you say if you had never watched Star Wars before, ever, and knew nothing about any of it, would you enjoy this series a lot more than you do?
I'd enjoy it more, yeah.
Yeah, you'd enjoy it a lot more, I feel. Because
as I said, I didn't even mention, one of my 3 words was set design. The set design is incredible.
Gorgeous.
Like, it looks stunning. It's like The Mandalorian. It looks brilliant, and it's it's not great choreography wise, but the sets look amazing. The world building has been really good. So on that front, it looks incredible.
I think because I do think it's important to almost like judge a series on its own merits. So it's like but it's kind of tricky to do that with something like Star Wars or something like Jurassic Park and something like probably the Lord of the Rings series that's coming out.
As well,
The Halo ones, the Marvel ones, because you're comparing it to what's come before and what you're expecting to happen. Like I saw people getting pissed off because, like in Multiverse of Madness, their favorite superhero that they wanted to be in it wasn't in it, and it was just like, but you've just set yourself up for failure.
Yeah,
because
absolutely.
you want a character to be in it. And I think Obi-Wan, if you had it as a standalone and you viewed it just on your own and you ignored everything else, which I know is like asking a lot, because to be honest, if you have something which is as long running as this, continuity becomes harder and harder to keep. But everyone expects you to keep it, and they'll quickly point out if you don't. And I think it's with a show like this, if you took it on its own merit, I think it'd be a lot better. I think if you had never watched Star Wars before and that was the first series you'd watched, I think you'd find it much, much better, and I think you would enjoy it, to be honest. I think you would. I mean, like a lot of the things that you guys were saying about like Obi-Wan hates blasters and stuff like that, I didn't give a shit about that. I didn't know any of that at all. I didn't remember that. You know, it's like, and it's things that people bring up, but I don't even know about. So I'm not fussed about.
Whereas for me,
but it's something that they've
things
created.
like that became such a staple of it. Yeah. Like it meant that every time he used a blaster, I thought, oh, this doesn't
feel right.
The character obviously this is supposed to be a different character to the one in episode 3.
Yes.
But it feels like a completely different swing
Yes.
Yeah, that's what I meant before when
Yeah.
I was saying like it feels like it's a new character rather than an evolution of an existing character. Because even though I could go through something really traumatic tomorrow, and I'll still have the same mannerisms.
Yeah.
It doesn't destroy that side of your personality, and I will still, like, our next pod, if you're listening to it, is like a Room 101, where you put in the bad things that you don't like, kind of thing. Those things I'm still not going to like, just because I've been through something traumatic, like, unless it's related to that thing. But, it's not going to change that side of me. I'll still love football.
We should do a podcast, because we do quite a lot of like talking about shows like this and things we don't like. We should do a podcast where we just talk about the things we do like about these shows. We should do an appreciation.
Yeah, that's true, yeah.
Because there are things I like about these, like these series and things like that. I mean, the Obi Wan Kenobi series, I think the lightsaber, the time he used the lightsaber was awesome. I loved the holding up the glass with the Force. I think that was great. Like you say, set design and things like that. James didn't like the Jedi parkour. I liked the Jedi parkour.
Jedi
I thought that was
looked
cool.
wrong.
I thought it was great. Fuck you, dude. I thought it was sick.
I can always, because I watch a lot of, there's a group on YouTube called Stora, and they're like a British parkour group, and I watch pretty much their videos weekly. And when you watch their videos comparatively to when you watch that, it just looks wrong. And with a Jedi, all you need to do is increase the distance they can jump, make it look fine, increase the speed that they jump and the power that they push off on, and that's all you've got to do. And it just looked wrong when she was doing it. Like, it just didn't look like a person.
So we got a parkour nerd upset about parkour.
Essentially,
parkour elitist. Right, and on that bombshell, should we call it there for this episode?
I think we should. What would you rate Kenobi as a series overall? I would honestly give it, genuinely, a 6. I would, because I've still found myself, 6.5, 6. I've still found myself enjoying it. If you think a lot about it, it doesn't, certain aspects of it don't really work and stuff like that. I've still enjoyed watching it. Whatever, it's been fun. It's popcorn entertainment. I don't mind it.
Yeah.
I was going to give it like a 7 or 6.
Yeah,
I think it's also one of those things. You say it's popcorn entertainment, but I think the thing that is gutting is like, at least, again, this is me building up my own views of what I think it should have been.
That's dangerous, though.
Yeah, I thought, this should be the TV series that is the best out of any of the ones we know about for the Star Wars ones that have come out, because it's the character that we love the most out of all of these potential people.
Yeah.
But what we know so far from the shows that have come out is having an original character with hints to other characters but no direct links, and a show that takes it in a new direction with new characters is always going to be the best option. Mandalorian.
Yeah. It will.
Because you don't have this issue of he doesn't like blasters. You can build a new character in a new space and then have Luke run in for a little bit. And then have Ahsoka Tano run in for a little bit, and it makes the fans go, yeah! And then it goes back to a character they know nothing about.
On this, right? Just one last quick thing before we end, because we are really approaching the final bit. But I read briefly, right? There's a thing on Facebook. No, not Facebook. It was YouTube recommended, and it was a video, and it said the time that the Star Wars universe got invaded. And I was like, what is this? And it's like, so everything in Star Wars takes place in one. Not like one galaxy, but it's a cluster of galaxies, right? And you've got the Outer Rim, which is, I believe, where a lot of Mandalorians are hiding now, right? But outside of this Outer Rim is like deep space, and no one knows what the fuck is out there.
Yeah.
At one point, there is mention of an invasion from deep space, right? Well, the only thing you know about deep space is people go in, they don't come back out, right? That's literally it. And there's an invasion from deep space, and it's like very briefly touched upon. I was like, dude, make a series about that.
Yeah.
You've got like no information at all.
It's from like fucking ages ago as well, I think.
Yeah.
It's like
just
way like
and just have it as your sources. I made it the fuck up. I would watch that. That'd be actually sick.
I think it takes place like way before like when the Sith were actually a race rather than like a religion kind of thing. And it was like when there was a planet that was really in touch with the dark side, and there was a whole planet that was the Sith kind of thing. And I think it's around that time. because it's way back, I think.
Oh,
but that would be sick.
No,
I agree.
yeah, I just wanted to mention that because I read that on Facebook and I was just like, dude, I would love a series out of this. No characters in any of the trilogies. I just watch it.
Well, now we're getting like the high,
cool.
like high, fucking Republic, like with that kind of stuff. There's comics based off it, but there's no characters based, like character within the canon within the films, so they can do whatever they want with that essentially.
Yeah,
be cool. But yeah.
Anyway,
another time.
It's been a lot about Kenobi.
Yeah,
but I hope you enjoyed.
About an hour and 10 minutes. A lot of very hurt feelings from James.
Hatred. I could be a Sith,
jump off that building, right?
Like,
Fucking dickhead.
Let it flow through you.
Brilliant. Well,
and on that,
have a wonderful day, gentlemen.
Yes.
Will do. Au revoir. Thank you for listening.
Yes, thank you.
Comment
like
your
and subscribe.
opinions on
Follow us
Obi-Wan.
on
Did you
Instagram.
Like it? Did you not? Tell us why.
Yeah.
If you comment a negative opinion, tell us something you did like.
Yeah.
Because there will be something.
Give us a
I guarantee it.
Otherwise, give us a pro and a con.
Even if it's Obi-Wan's hair.
Bastard.
Because I thought his hair
Otherwise, I fucking hate you.
That was pretty sick, actually, as well. That's true.
Pretty cool, yeah.
This was it.
All
right. Au revoir, ladies.
Been a wonderful time.
Peace.
Catch you all later.
Bye.
Deuces.